Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Rob Shumay. My partner, as you know, Ed Warner, is not available because he is over coaching in the European Football League. And he will be joining us hopefully soon. They're in spring training over there, as you would, even though it's for the summer league. They kick off June 1st. Ed has reported that he's got a number of outstanding, maybe even NFL quality tackles. So it's going to be interesting to see the development, and we look forward to getting an update from him. Today, we are very fortunate to have an iconic member of the Cleveland broadcasting team out there from 92.3 WKRF, The Fan in Cleveland, Garrett Bush. Mr. Bush, welcome. How are you?
Thank you for the great introduction. I don't know if iconic would work, but listen, I'll use that. Man, I'm gonna tell people to do that on my obituary too. They make sure you put iconic in there because you started a trend here.
I think you've earned it. So you've done some fantastic work. But let's jump right into it. Yesterday, where does it fall with the fumble, the drive, the shot? What are we going to call what Halliburton did to us yesterday?
Boy. So I wouldn't go in turn. We've had a lot of different things in the top 5 or top 10. I can go back and look at what the Guardians/Indians did. You come back in the bottom of the 9th and you have the rain delay against the Chicago Cubs. We feel like we got the momentum. If it doesn't rain right there, we feel like we end the streak in terms of the curse with the Guardians/Indians. Obviously, you got Michael Jordan, what he did to us every single day. It seems like he was just born to do that. And then of course you got with football, you got John Elway, you got Ernest Biner, you got Red Right 88, you got all those different things. I think yesterday it was up there. You're up in that series, and the Cavs have, by the way, the Cavs had a great year. They were great for the sport of basketball. They've been a team that was the best team in basketball all year long. But the knock on the Cavs were, hey, are they a little soft? Can you beat them up a little bit? Can you rough the Cavs up, get them out of their game? And then you get 3 guys out. DeAndre Hunter, who averages almost 20 points during the season, he's out. He dislocates his thumb. Darius Garland has been out since the week, the second game in the Heat series. He's out. And then Evan Mobley just got the Defensive Player of the Year award, and he christened himself by getting an ankle injury and could not walk. So where it stands in the Pantheon, I think it's up there. I don't think it would probably be in the top 5, but it's up there because you're up in a series that you really need to have. You really need to get game 2. You're up 7 points with 47 seconds left to go, and you can't drop an inbounds play. You can't keep guys off the 3-point line. They did everything they could to lose that game, and unfortunately they did, going down 0-2 against the Pacers.
Well, let me give you, I know we talked about this a little before we jumped on the air, but since the 77-78 NBA season, teams were 0 and 1,000, let's see the exact numbers, 1,609 when trailing by 7 points or more with 40 seconds or less to go in the game.
I mean, you have to look at here. Let's do this. Give Pacers credit. They hung in there. They could have lost. They could have, the Cavs came out and punched them in the mouth. They had energy. Role guys were playing really well. Dean Wade was playing well. Max Strus played out of his mind. I thought, you got some great defense at times from Isaac Okoro. Jared Allen was spectacular. And Donovan Mitchell tried to put the team on his back. Almost 50 points last night. They were just shorthanded. They got ran down and they got tired at the end. But I will say this. When you do have the opportunities in these playoff games, you have to have the ability to close out basketball games. And it came down to fundamentals. You take a look at the free throw that was a tip dunk back in. That was just a simple case of boxing out. You didn't box out. There's times where you couldn't end your defensive possessions because you can't get the rebound, secure the rebound, and win a basketball game. And then just inexplicably not being able to run your offense and not being able to run an out of bounds play and having to call timeout after timeout after timeout when you can't get the ball in. They had a turnover late, a couple of offensive foul by Donovan Mitchell, and it just turned into one of those things where I looked at the score and I said, going into the fourth quarter, they need to be up by 15. They weren't. They were up about, I think, 8 points going into the fourth quarter, and I said that might not be enough. And it turned out not to be enough because they were shorthanded as well.
Well, this is now the second year, right? Last year we were without Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, and Mitchell in that series against Boston. So, Is there something about the conditioning, or is it just bad luck, or what do you attribute that to?
To me, listen. I was telling my dad this after the game. I said, "Look, man, I'm not comparing myself to the rest of them, but listen, you would have expected or hoped that you would get 2 out of the 3 to play. When you have Hunter, I know he had a dislocated thumb, but Steph Curry's thumb is messed up right now, and he's still shooting the basketball and playing. I know Darius Garland, he's the part of his game that is the most explosive, and what he does best is his quickness and getting to the basket, and it's kind of hard to have that. I've had turf toe before, and I'm playing football, so it's just kind of like I get it. And Evan Mobley had the ankle. But you have to think, hey, can you give me 4 to 5 minutes? Can you come in and be able to somebody get in and throw the ball to a 7-footer to inbound and play? Hey, DeAndre Hunter, can you be guarding Halliburton instead of Ty Jerome at the end of the game? And that's a different shot that he has to make. And when you got guys that are on the bench and they're hurt, an unfortunate thing about the Cavs is this is what's going to happen. People are going to be, this is the boy who cried wolf. The Cavs next season, if they unfortunately bow out the way they look like they're going to against the Pacers, people are not going to tune in and say, oh, this team is great. No, they're going to say, we've seen this story before, and it didn't matter that this team never had guys going over 30 minutes. They rested guys back-to-backs. They made sure people had, never really went overboard in terms of, Cavs rested a lot of people because they were up 20, 25 points a lot of games. So, to me, I think there's 2 things that need to happen. I think it has to be somebody else than Donovan Mitchell that says, all right, I got to make a dedication to my body, whether it's I got to put 5-10 pounds on muscle on. I got to make sure that my conditioning is tip-top condition so you don't have some of these injuries where you're in the first 2 rounds of the series and all of a sudden you got 3-4 guys out.
Yeah, you raise a good point too. The Pacers offense, they've won 4 or 5 games now against 5 games against the Cavs this year. And they are constantly running guys off screen to that 3-point line, and they're moving the ball back across the court. Do you think we have an answer for that?
Well, I thought the Cavs had a pretty good answer for it the first half. I think with defense, and my coach used to say, fatigue makes cowards out of all of us. Like, when you're tired, I thought the Cavs did a great job in the first half where they came out and they ran everybody off the 3-point line. Everybody. They picked up their defense almost, 3/4 court. They made even a pass difficult for those guys to be moving and swinging the basketball. The ball always is going to move faster than the guys faster than men. But what the Pacers do, and I'll give them credit for this, is the Pacers continue to move around. They continue to do it. They're like, listen, you could do that for 3 quarters. Let's see if you could do it for 4 quarters. And in the fourth quarter, there was key points in time where the Pacers were able to get guys open. There was key points in time that, the Cavs didn't pay attention to the scouting report and make those legitimate closeouts, like not a half contested shot. A true closeout. And it's a different, now in the NBA, it's like that. Everybody is shooting. In the 80s, guys weren't pulling up like this from now. A half contested 3-point shot by a center or a power forward is a bad contest because everybody can hit threes, and it takes discipline and it takes some sort of conditioning to be able to close out and to chase the ball like you'd have to do to stop a team like that for 4 quarters.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Cavs being shorthanded, and the Pacers, on the other hand, they play 10 guys, and it seems all 10 of those guys have a license to shoot when they're open.
Yeah, no problem. They all have the green light, and when you got Tyrese Halliburton, who's a guy who is masterful at getting his guys open, and the thing is, he's not looking to really destroy you himself. What he's trying to do is he's trying to get the confidence of those other guys, the Nimhards, the rest of the guys, and those guys to get the ball and be able to shoot and be able to get comfortable. So by the time fourth quarter comes, they've already gotten into the game. They've already shot the ball. They've already seen and had good looks. So now they're comfortable in crunch time making those shots. And at the end, he pulls up and he hits that shot. It's a tough shot, but I would have liked to see him go, hey, I'm always a person that says, look, you go beat me with a 2-point shot. Beat me and have to hit that shot, contest it over a couple of people. And at the end of the game, when they get the rebound and he backs up, and I know Ty Jerome, it's easier said than done. But listen, make them take a tough 2 over you. Don't give them a 3. The game has already been hard fought, and the mentality of a team on the road. Hey, do you want to go for the tie? You want to go for the win? And he's going for the win.
Excellent point. What's your prognostication for the rest of the series?
We're gonna see. We're gonna see what the Cavs are made of. Because for a lot of people, they'll doom and gloom and say the series over. I want to see what what the heart and character of the Cleveland Cavaliers are. You don't tell me, show me, because this is the same thing that we did last year. And somebody has to stand up in the locker room and says, not today, fellas. We've been spoiled a little bit because I watch a guy named LeBron James, and I'm old enough to remember, what he used to do, like especially in terms of that, roster he took to the finals when his last year he was like here 2018. I want to see it. I want to see what Kenny Atkinson is made of. I want to see them come back fighting. They should be a cornered, wounded animal when they go to Indianapolis. That's how they have to play. And they should say, look, guys, we played this way, and we didn't have anybody that we were out 2 starters. We used rotation guys, and we threw the game away. We threw it away. We actually threw the game away a couple of times. We've been up in this series a lot, and we look what we have to show for it. Let's go down here and get one. And like they say, get one at a time. But must win is definitely when we're thinking about game 3, and they should be coming out swinging and trying to, fight for their lives.
Yeah, and they hit hard, I think, in game 3. Now it changes the whole perception of the team, and I think it moves a lot of pressure on Indiana.
Yes. Yeah, and you mentioned that's a great point. Indiana right now, I think after you go up 2-0, I think now the pressure kind of shifts to Indiana to kind of close the Cavs out, right? You got them on the ropes, right? Will they let down a little bit, right? I'm going to see Indiana too. Like, if you're a championship caliber team, you put the Cavs away at home tomorrow and the series basically is over. Yep. But if you lose, if the Cavs get that game, now you start to look like, oh, well, are you guys choking a little bit? Because if you win that game, especially if it gives you enough time to get other people back, if this series gets back to 2-2 and you're looking around and now the Cavs have an opportunity to have home court again, that's not where you want to be as the Indiana Pacers.
Right. The Cavs win game 3. All of a sudden, game 2 starts to look like a fluke. Yeah, the Cavs were shorthanded, like you pointed out. Tyree took a great shot for them to win it, and it took everything to go wrong for the Cavs to lose that game. So let's hope that's how it comes out. But you still
Fingers crossed.
dodged that question on where you think what do you think's going to happen?
Oh well, listen. So in terms of what do you think is going to happen, in terms of me picking, I would have to say I have to pick the Cavs. In game 3. Now it's going to be a tough one because I mean when you expel that amount of energy that they did, depending on who they get back, if they can get Evan Mobley or Darius Garland back. I think Darius Garland, from what I'm hearing, is closer than Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley couldn't even put weight on his ankle during the game. You might get Hunter back, but listen, if you can get a game in game 3, I think it's a brand new series. I'll pick the Cavs to win that one. It'll be a close game. But I think they'll win that.
Awesome. And, you mentioned about next year, if they bow out, people are going to say same old story, but I'm going to pop something up here. Evan Mobley winning the Defensive Player of the Year increased his salary so that now he's got to top out at about 30% of the salary cap. And that's going to move the Cavs into that second apron on they're going to be over the luxury tax, and it's going to limit our ability next year to make some moves. And so I'm just curious if you've heard anything or thought anything about that.
Because they moved into the apron tax, and so they're going to be a team that's over the luxury tax. And once you start being repeat offenders, it gets very prohibitive to sign guys. I mean, I think you lose some of your mid-level exception, and it becomes very, very difficult to sign. And you look at a guy, didn't play well, last night, played horrible, as a matter of fact, Ty Jerome. He's a guy who's going to be a free agent, and we talked about, hey, what are they going to be able to do to claim him, to keep him on the roster? And you got two guys, Isaac Okoro, who they've signed. I think you can move. Dean Wade is making a little money. You could try to move that, if you want to keep, Ty Jerome. But, I've always said it like this: when you get to a point where you are where the Cavs are, it becomes all about your development. Jalen Tyson, where how I like him. I thought like he should be playing a little more. I get it. During the season, when you're winning that many games and you got it on a historic pace, coaches are a little less apt to go trying to develop rookies. They're trying to win today. So I get it. You got a guy like who can, fill it up and he's really raw, but Amani Bates is another guy who is really raw, but he can really shoot, really can, get his own shot, add some, explosiveness at that, the wing position. You just have to say, listen, is it an opportunity for those two guys if you do have to move on from other people? Sure. It just comes down to development. I always go to this and always remind people, San Antonio Spurs were able to prolong their life, so to speak, because they were able to get Tony Parker and Ginobili and Duncan. But when you draft Kawhi Leonard and you get a guy like Kawhi Leonard, now that extends your window, because as your aging stars get older, you got a young thoroughbred that's in there coming into his own that help you out a little bit. So those are the things that I'm thinking about. But I think they are going to be in a little bit of a weird space, because I know for a fact Kobe Altman did not want to get into the luxury tax that quickly, but it's a good thing to have. You got Evan Mobley, who turned out to be a great player, Defensive Player of the Year. It is what it is. So it just rolls with the punches when it comes to having a good roster.
Well, it's going to be an interesting offseason to watch what the Cavs do and how they manage this situation. So on one hand, I wish we could keep Jerome and it was simple, like sign him, done.
Right.
But there's going to have to be a lot of chess moves made in order for that to happen. So
I'm wondering what he will command on the market, because at one point there was a thought process that he would get a substantial contract the way he was playing. Now, granted, I think people aren't going to just diminish his value because he played a couple bad games in the playoffs against good teams. But yeah, you would like to keep a guy like Ty Jerome and keep him on a roster, because that's part of what makes the Cavs great. When you got guys like him and DeAndre Hunter, Sam Merrill coming off the bench that can all score, that can all really do some things. So you would like to keep him in the end.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I gull have to have you back on and see what happens, and we can talk about their moves. But Moving on to another interesting offseason, the Cleveland Browns. Start with the obvious, that quarterback room. You've got 4 quarterbacks, 2 rookies. Will they keep 4 quarterbacks, or what do you think's going to happen there?
Oh no, I can guarantee you right now they're not going to keep 2 quarterbacks. 4 quarterbacks. I think right now, and everybody's been kind of prognosticating on whether or not how this is going to work, how the reps are split up, what are they doing here. I think the Cleveland Browns, if you watch the Browns the last 3 or 4 years, the Cleveland Browns under Kevin Stefanski seem like they play 5 or 6 quarterbacks every week, every year. Whether it's DTR, the PJ Walker, the Flacco, the Deshaun Watson in and out of the lineup, they've Jacoby Brissett, they've had an issue with quarterback. They can't find one. And so when you can't find a quarterback, and I advocated for taking 2 quarterbacks in the draft. Some people didn't think they would, but when you can't find a quarterback, you just got to do whatever you can to figure it out and to get as much bites at the apple as you can. You bring back Flacco. He's 40-something years old. Does he have a little bit left in the tank? Does he still have that arm? He had some magic when he came back a couple of years ago and led the Browns to the playoffs. Kenny Pickett is a former first-round draft pick. You kick the tires on that. Maybe you can get something out of him that Pittsburgh or Philadelphia couldn't. You draft Dylan Gabriel. Some people think that was a little bit of a reach for Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. Hey, look, Kevin Stefanski, we've already talked about it. We said, hey, Kevin deserves to make his choices. He deserves to have his quarterback. All right, well, hey, Dylan Gabriel, he picked him. Let's see if he can play. He's an accurate guy. He's a little undersized. I wouldn't say a little. He's a lot undersized.
So is Drew Brees.
So is Drew Brees, right? So that's always the guy, the comparison point.
Exactly.
Good, not great arm, but look, he makes very good decisions. He does not take very many sacks. He completes a high percentage of his throws. Very smart, picks things up quickly. He's been played a bunch of games for 3 big time schools. When you go back to started off at UCS, went to Oklahoma, then you take and he goes to Oregon, picked up 3 different systems. So we'll see what he can do. And obviously, Shedeur Sanders, we don't even need any. That's just that's no prefaces needed with him. It comes along with him. But yeah, he's also an accurate guy. Was thought to be a top, at least a 1 or 2 grade. You get him in the 5th round, and you bring him in to see what he's going to do and see if he can compete. And so you got 4 guys. Let the best 3 win. You trade one of them during like they usually like to do. You got 2 young guys, and preferably. Let's see what the young guys have. You got 2 first-round picks next year. If none of them hit, guess what? You draft a quarterback next year.
Yeah. Do you see the Browns? When I saw that second pick with Sanders, I thought, okay, they're going to try to play Flacco and Pickens early in the preseason to see if they can get some trade interest out of there and get some capital on that. But do you think that's a big risk, keeping 2 rookies as backups?
Well, not if it's not a big risk, only if you plan on trying to win games. And you ask yourself, are the Cleveland Browns really going all in to try to win as many games as possible? Now, look, I'm a guy, I former player. I like winning games. I'm going to try to win as much as I can. I understand how bad the game is on your body. I understand that those guys like Myles Garrett and offensive linemen are putting their body on the line to win games today, not tomorrow. But if you look at it, most people would say, the Browns is not in a position to win a championship. So, what's the ceiling? Playoffs, maybe, 1st round, or whatever the case may be. Their goal this year, I think, is to see what it is they have at quarterback. And that wouldn't be a bad thing. Give Dylan Gabriel 4 or 5 starts. You want to give Shedeur Sanders 4 or 5 starts. Hey, let whoever wins the role between Pickett and Flacco, give him 8 starts, and we'll figure it out and let the chips fall where they may. The goal is to come out of there and say, now it would be great if you say, wow, we found something. and Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders, and then you don't have to use those first 2 picks on quarterback. Guess what you can do? You're going to use those picks
Linemen.
on linemen or receivers or weapons or something, you know what I mean? Like other than a quarterback. So that's the best case scenario, I think, for the Browns.
What do you see for the receiving core this year? I thought it was interesting that there's really no guaranteed money given to Deontay Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
minimal move. I think again that's one of the moves that signaled, hey, I mean, what's the ceiling? Are they really trying to win like that? When you pass, so you think about it. When you pass on Travis Hunter, when you trade down on Travis Hunter, that doesn't say, hey, I'm trying to, no, and Mason Graham, I like it, but look, everybody in the world was sitting here ready for Travis Hunter to see what he was going to do. And they traded the pick to kind of kick the can down the road to get more assets. Now, get Mason Graham, he's rated highly on a lot of people's boards, and they did get him at 5, but I do tell people, man, I mean, Warren Sapp didn't go at 5. Yeah. Aaron Donald didn't go at 5. If you're a D tackle at 5, you better be that guy. You better be so we'll see what we got to figure out and see what that is. But when you look at the wide receiver core, Deontay Johnson, I mean, he's had some issues, hasn't really done anything since Big Ben retired. I mean, he had some very good years when Big Ben was here, but bounced around a lot, refused to go in the game. Again with the Baltimore Ravens. So look, it's one of those Andrew Berry signings where if you get something out of him, and right now on paper he looks like almost your number 2 receiver because you don't have very much behind him. And we got Jamari Thrash, Cedric Tillman. He's shown some flashes, but right now you got Jerry Jeudy, and that's it. So you look at Jerry Jeudy, Deontay Johnson. Maybe they even tried to throw a tender at Elijah Moore before the Buffalo Bills said, all right, no, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get him. But I think that's the major difference between the Browns. Obviously, it's the quarterback as well. But the receiving core, when you look at teams, they got Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, and you got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. You know what Cincinnati got over there.
Yep.
It just goes to show you where the Browns receiving core is.
Now, what do you think of the running back room? Same thing with the draft. What does that draft say about Chubb and the Browns' position on Chubb?
It's hard to say. And I have to keep it honest. Like, looks like the writing's on the wall for Nick Chubb. They go into that, go into the draft looking to get younger at running back, and they get a guy that's Quinshon Judkins, who's is a very stout, explosive, hard-running guy out of Ohio State. And that's not Ohio State. I mean, he was that when he was at Ole Miss. You go back and watch his Ole Miss stuff. He was dynamic there. 2 years there.
Nose for the goal line too. Nose for the end zone.
Yeah, very, very strong runner in between the tackles during in the red zone. Then you got Dylan Sampson, and I liked him a lot. 1,500 yards, 20-something touchdowns for Tennessee. And this guy has game-breaking speed. Like, this guy is, he's one of those guys who has the long ability. And when you got a bad offense, the difference between 3 and 7 could be somebody scoring on 70 yards or you getting stopped at the goal line, and then all of a sudden you got to have a Dustin Hopkins field goal. So I'm for all. I don't like running backs and skill position people getting caught from behind, because that means we got to take more snaps. Anything can happen down there. So I love that fact about him. I love what he can do, and I think they have a new tandem. They'll run the ball a ton. They'll get back to what Kevin Stefanski wants to do. You got Harold Fannin Jr. He's from my stomping grounds, neck of the woods. BG Falcon. And for me, I'm a Mac guy. I went to Ohio University, so I watched him. Watched a lot of Harold Fannin. I called his high school games a couple of years ago. So to see him come full circle, I think he's going to be a dynamic playmaker. And then you can run your 2 tight end sets and do the play action stuff, and what Joe is really good at, Flacco. And so I like what they got in theory. in theory, I love what they got. I'm anxious to see what they do up front and getting back to what they were a couple of years ago. How much does Taylor have left? How much does Conklin have left? Batonio came back. How much DeJuan Jones' health? We'll see what they're back to, especially when you're running the ball more and being more physical. How will they hold up health-wise?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just going to ask you about that. Do you think they can make it through the season?
You know, I've always said this is an unintended consequence. When I used to play at OU, we was the last team, I think, to run a triple option. And, you know, a lot of people don't understand the physical toll that it takes on your body when you are running the ball that much. I mean, all reps are not created equally. When you're up front, and you are, you know, going against another 290 pound, 320 pound guy, and you're trying to move guys, you get a lot of injuries. Wyatt Teller's been injured a lot. Jack Conklin, shout out to him. He for the most part, when he got in, he was fine. Like he held up fine. But Joe Batonio's been beat up. You know, Ethan Poaches has been beat up. DeJuan Jones has been hurt every single year he's been here. When you are being that physical and that's what your calling card is going to be, you're going to have guys that are going to be backups. And they did a little bit of that trying to get some bodies in the offseason in terms of in the free agency. And the guy they got from the Bears, I think he's a starting level guard. So it works out pretty well that you do have a guy that can back up that way. But it's going to be tough to see if they're going to be able to, you know, run the ball the way they used to. And I think that it was a little thing that's why, you know, you look at what Nick Chubb was able to do for such a long period of time. A lot of it was just Nick Chubb being Nick Chubb, right? Yes, the line was great. But when Nick Chubb broke down, I think they moved in a different direction to younger, fresher legs because, listen, instead of you getting hit after 4 yards, maybe you could make a guy miss if you got some younger backs, right? So I think that's another part of why they went to, you know, go to the youth movement. I think they started early with retooling with the running back room first. Next year, they'll probably retool and get the other part of the running game, which is the offensive line retool.
Excellent. So going back to Mason Graham, do you think... Let's say it was maybe a reach at Graham at 5, right? Do you think there was any connection between keeping Garrett happy and getting him some help on that line?
No. I think here's what I think will happen with Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett just realized that they weren't going to trade him. And I think that he also realized that because of the amount of money that the Cleveland Browns would have in dead cap money just to move him, it just made it unattainable. Like it's not the fact that he weren't going to get anything for him. It was the fact that if you trade him, yeah, you could get some picks back, but how much salary can you afford to offload and have that amount of dead money with Deshaun Watson still on the roster? So it almost seems like, you know, his agent came to him and said, listen, at the end of the day, I don't think we can get out of this one. I don't think they're going to trade you. It just makes no sense for them financially to do it. But what we can do is, hey, let's help them financially. We can get another contract in here and we can guarantee that you're going to, you know, be the highest paid defensive player. By a lot. By a long shot. Let's go ahead and do it. And you know, Myles Garrett was like, you know, it comes to the sometimes you can rationalize something when you get a bunch of money. You know, it's funny how just things work out. Man, you know what? This product it ain't even that bad over here.
Not so bad.
It ain't even that bad. What weather? Come on, man. Sheesh. Listen, I've been at worse places.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. So yeah, I think you're right on that. So should we expect 4 or 5 wins based on this roster again, or is that what we're looking at?
Well, I don't think they're 4. I don't think they're going to be 4 wins, 4 or 5 wins. I think the basement for them is 6 wins, and I'll tell you why. because you did add a lot of pieces in a lot of different places. You are playing a game plan that keeps scores close, that keeps you at a safe place, where that you can have something happen in the fourth quarter to win. The defense will still be pretty good. The defensive line should be young, athletic. You look at what you got, Mike Hall Jr. You look at Mason Graham, who now, mind you, those are guys have to be day one starters. I'm like, listen, if you're gonna invest in them, I hate when the Browns do this. Do not waste the first round pick on somebody and then be rotating them in there with Shelby Harris. No, I don't want to see Shelby Harris. I want to see the guy like you. Listen, you told me that was that's the fifth overall pick. He need to play. Mike Hall Jr. better be playing. All the young guys. I won't care. I want to see no old dude. So, they should be a lot better. They can run the ball. They could do some things. Jerry Jeudy, it looks like he wants to be a bona fide number one receiver. We'll see if he can do it 2 years in a row. And plus, you got Flacco. And some people will say that Kenny Pickett is the odds-on favorite to win a job. I don't understand. I don't see how they feel like that. To me, it's Joe Flacco all day. It lines up too well.
Right.
Plays play action. He's already been there. He already knows the guys in the locker room. Already knows the offensive line. He can pick up the stuff really quickly. You don't even have to really give Joe that many reps in the preseason. He doesn't even need those reps, right? So you're basically using his reps to see what you got in the young guys. And I think if Joe is playing and they have a solid running game, they got some pieces and parts, I don't think this team is bad enough to win 3 games. I don't, this is the NFL. I mean, they won 3 games last year and they was really trying. And they threw the ball 40, 50 times a game in Dorsey, and we had no quarterback. So, I mean, I don't think that you can win 3 next year. They seem like they actually trying this year.
Have you heard any update on whether the Browns are going to get some cap relief through the insurance on Watson's contract?
I think they do. They will get a little bit of it, but I've heard it's not crazy. It's not like $40 million or something. I think I've heard somewhere between up to maybe $10 million. But when you got 230 guaranteed, and I think next year's cap is almost 90. I think the number's 90 million.
Something crazy.
You get 10 back. Okay, cool. That's enough to get maybe field a position or try to roll that over. But that move really prohibited. That move actually stopped the Myles Garrett trade because you were almost going to have $200 million in dead cap between 2 players just to trade Myles Garrett for Pittman. It just wasn't working, and plus, it's kind of crazy. I think, at least Jimmy Haslam came out this year and kind of just said, hey, we're moving on from Deshaun Watson. We're not going, he's going to rehab. He's going to be in a building, but he's not really in the mix. A lot of time people ask me, hey, you got 5 quarterbacks. I say, you can't count. Who you counting? You count? No, that's, you have 4. Would you? No, but Deshaun. I say, no. That's he's trying to rehabilitate his career at this point. Like he's trying to, even if he plays again, they're trying to figure out if you can be in a locker room or if you can be a backup somewhere. I think starting days is over for him.
Yeah. Do you think he's played his last game with the Browns?
Oh yeah. That ship has sailed. It's sailed when he towards Achilles heel. I think people say, why was he so, you see him emotionally crying, going out, and I think at that moment he realized not only was he never going to play for the Cleveland Browns again, but in that moment I think he felt like he may not play quarterback no more. Like that realization that Deshaun Watson was trying to play his reputation back. He was trying to play his because in the NFL you'll get to a point where if you can rehabilitate your career, if you can have a good year, look at Sam Darnold, look at Geno Smith. the league, if you're good, they'll turn a blind eye to a lot of stuff. And so if he would have came back and did what he did, even if he wasn't going to be the guy in Cleveland, somebody would have been like, well, maybe he put up good numbers here, here, and here. Maybe we could kick the tires on him. But at that point, he was trying to rehabilitate his career. And so that emotion comes from being like, oh, this might be it, because, you got the stuff, the off the field stuff, mixed with the fact that you're playing some of the worst football that we've seen at the quarterback position. It's going to be hard to come back from that.
Yeah, I agree. So look forward to seeing what other moves the Browns have before then, especially as we talked about to kick off the segment on the Browns, what they do with those 4 quarterbacks. So let's hope and pray that Kenny Pickett has developed some value and pick up some more assets for that rebuild next year. One last thing, just to talk, if you have a few more minutes.
Yeah.
The Guardians, it's the Freudian slip. I still have the Indians,
Trust me. Listen, for the first year, I was horrible at it. I just couldn't get it right, man. By the way, they selling all the old gear now again, too. I went to the hat shop. I said, dang, they got the Wahoo hats and the Indians hats. They bringing them back. I said, I thought y'all was, look, that's the way it worked.
Yeah, well, one thing that it was always been kind of annoyance to me, like, okay, you're going to change the name, but if it was so important to change the name, why did you say we're going to change it 12 months or 14 months from now?
Yeah, it was disingenuous. And then when the Chiefs was like, oh, we keeping all our stuff. we're like, what? How the Chiefs get to keep? Yeah,
and the Braves.
Braves, listen, we're not doing none of that. We're going to keep, all the Tomahawks. We keeping every Tomahawk here. The Arrowhead Stadium, we're not changing nothing. We're like, man, and then we got the crazy, and I like the word G. I like the letter G.
Obvious reasons.
But I mean, we got the Guardians with the wings on it. I said, bro, how am I going to wear? I can't wear that with a G with wings. This is horrible. Like that, they if you notice, they've slowly but surely phased that out too. Like, yeah, we just going to go with the regular C.
Yeah, and even then, if you're gonna go just with the letter, make it something cool. Like Detroit's got a cool D. I mean, go back to the crooked C of
something. It's just no flavor. It's like when the Guardians play, unless they wearing their red jerseys or those cool City Edition blue ones.
Yeah.
They look like they're in the 30s. I'm like, man, it looked like, man, I'm like, man, it looked like I'm going to watch Satchel Paige. I said, man, you got the old grays, the written Cleveland. I'm like, these are the plainest jerseys. I'm like, who wear the Guardians wear away jerseys at home? I'm like, your away jerseys are the worst in the league, and you'd be like, man, your home ones are bad too.
Yeah, I don't know who they paid to come up with that, but I hope they got their money back. But so, the big story, Emmanuel Clase, right? Is he done? Is he not? The shelf life of relievers, for the most part, is a few years, and then they flame out. And I'm going to pop something up here for you, Garrett. This is a pitch chart, and if you see the red, this is where he's missing right now. He's missing dead smack over the middle, and you wonder why batters have a 440 plus average in balls they hit off of them, right?
Man, location.
Yeah, and last year, that location, they were all down or off the plate,
And listen, he still has his velocity, still has the nasty cutter, but it's about where you're missing at. And the thing about bullpens, we could talk about K. Smith too. I mean,
he was next on my list. So I'll cross him.
Okay. when you start missing over the middle of the plate, it don't matter how fast you throw; those guys are going to hit you. And with bullpens, I say this is I compare it all the time to defensive stats and turnovers. When people start talking about, hey, the Browns led the league in turnovers last year, and then the next year they're in the bottom 5. They got to create more I say turnovers ain't like that. You can't ask for that. You don't wish that. Turnovers is a year-to-year thing. Sometimes you was just having the ball bounce your way a few times, and that's the same way relief pitchers and bullpens are. It is year to year. You can, as great as they were last year, it's great when you have Hunter Gaddis and all these guys and Smith and you throwing the baseball as hard as he is, and you're thinking, oh, they'll never touch him. This guy had an historic year, not just a great one. He had all-time historic year prior to the Yankees. That hurt his heart. Sometimes pitcher psyches is like field goal kickers. Like when Stanton and Judge and those guys up there when you face that type of order and you're throwing the same pitches that you felt was really great a couple of weeks ago, but now they're putting them in the stands, it forces you to start renegotiating in your mind. Well, did I throw the right pitch right there? Am I trusting myself with this one? Am I leaving pitches over the plate? And then you start nibbling, and then it gets even worse. And the problem with Class A is it ain't like they're just singles. They're hitting the ball hard. They're roping the ball. It ain't like, oh, he got an infield hit. And the thing that really got me is last year when he blew up all those saves in the ALCS. Remember, he went home and got on Twitter and started showing all his college and all his awards and his trophies and his medals and everything. And I said, what is he doing? I said, what, is he melting down? You're trying to get yourself to remember what you used to be. And and at that point, you start to have to question, is he mentally out of here? Because you mentioned it. Closers do not have a long, sustained run of dominance unless your name is Mario Rivera. But other than that, you get 2 or 3 years here or there. They rotate them in. They find another closer. I don't know if he's fixable at this point right now.
Yeah, I certainly hope. The one thing I do have faith in the Guardians front office is their ability to manage pitching, right? They and the Rays, I think, have produced more pitchers in Major League Baseball from people that really weren't on the radar, right?
They just find guys. Even this year, this is so that you try to get mad at the Guardians. It happens a lot because, you look at them. It goes way back to Lee and Cliff Lee and Sabathia. It's just like, Shane Bieber. You look at it and you're like, you win all these Cy Youngs. You're not signing anybody. They get rid of them. They move guys for assets and pieces and parts. And then they bring up other guys and just dust them up. They come into the organization, throwing 90, mid-90. 3 years later, they come from AA and AAA. They're throwing 3. I'm like, where did Tanner Bybee get all this movement from? It's crazy. I don't know what they're teaching them. They're 3 miles an hour higher on their fastball. Movement is all kind of different degrees. It's just they are masterful at it. However, just as masterful as they are at developing pitchers, they are putrid when it comes to developing hitters. They are. We can't find anybody I heard about George Valera for years. Valera, listen, DeLauder,
and
Rocchio, all these guys, and they get here, and you're like, that isn't it. We can't find any power in right field. Quan is a I guess I would call him a throwback.
Yeah.
He's a solid play. Now listen. If he's able to hit 20 home runs, he's gonna break the bank. All that he needs is 20. If you get a little more power from him, he's gonna be, because he can already run. He already hit field. He has a tremendous glove, runs the bases tremendously well. You throw in 20 home runs, they're not gonna sign him now. But and that's another part that's disappointing. My eyes twinkle and I'm like, oh, they got Quan. He's one of the shining parts, obviously, with Jose Ramirez. But then you come to the conclusion of, I mean, he's already in arbitration. I think this is his first year.
Yep.
Guardians can't afford to sign him. He looks like a guy that something gets picked up by the Mariners give him
the Cubs or
Cubs
one
give
of
him
the
155 million or something crazy. It's tough, man. I think the major part with the Guardians is it always comes down to how much power you can get. Yes, they'll be in a division right now. Look at the division they're in right now. They're in second place. They're in the top, I think, 5 in wins right now, and they got rid of one of their best hitters. They got rid of Josh Naylor and didn't really replace him. Carlos Santana's 90 years old. He hasn't really done anything. But look, it's the division. They're right there with the Tigers, and as long as the Guardians are in that division, it just seems like, as mad as you want to get them in an offseason, they can always come to you at the end of the season and say, but look what we did. Are we better at run than the Cavs and the Browns? Sure. Look at this. And you can't even be mad.
Well, Jose Ramirez, is he one of the most, if not the most underrated, underappreciated player outside of his home city?
Yes. He's right now, well, he just did something the other day I think nobody else ever done in terms of home runs and stolen bases. I think he's a borderline Hall of Famer now. He has to put a couple more years together. But in terms of what he is as a player, most people that if you talk to guys who are in the know when it comes to baseball, they got him always a top 10 player, always in the top 10 in terms of what he can do. He can run. His glove has been kind of perplexing this year, but for the most part, he's been a tremendous fielder as well.
Yep.
And the fact that he took a tremendous pay cut to stay in Cleveland. And sometimes I get mad about it because I feel like if Jose Ramirez gave you a bunch of money back, why not take that money and spend it on something and help him out? He gave you the discount. The discount is only good if you can capitalize on it.
Right.
And so
I didn't mean to interrupt. No, along that line, Garrett, something that puzzles me is I live in Lake Lure, North Carolina now, so I'm not in Cleveland. But, I flip the games on, and night after night that it's empty. And why is it that the Guardians haven't captured the attention of the fans?
Well, look,
maybe it's that logo with the wings on it.
That actually, to be truthful, that's one of the things. There's a lot of people, believe it or not, that say, "Listen, I'm never gonna root for that team." They're a smaller minority, but there are people who say, "I didn't like the name change." There's another thing is they have a perception problem. The perception is the Dolans are cheap. And the perception is they aren't interested in winning at the highest peak levels. So when you have a situation like this with in terms of why the Guardians aren't really hitting with fans, and trust me, they got the best run front office, scouting department, development. When it comes to the promotions that they got at the ballpark, second to none. They even got standing room only tickets, right? They got places where you can go there and eat food and it's cheap and economical and you can take your family. They do a great job at that. The problem is you don't have the name brand recognition. And sometimes people always miss this, right? Yes, we are high-level individuals that like to watch the minutia of baseball or football or basketball and winning and doing things. But we got to remember, most people are not like us. We are not. Most people are casual fans that they want to go watch a game, see if their team won, root for their favorite player. And the Guardians have an issue because when you get rid of a lot of people and when you don't, sign guys that are homegrown like Francisco Lindor, who people loved. You had him and Jose Ramirez, right? It tells you like, hey, what people don't understand why you can't keep Jose Lindor. Why you're already talking about Quan leaving. People don't understand that. They don't get that. Economics don't reach that level. So it's hard for people to build any sort of emotional attachment to certain players and to build it. That's what made the 90s Indians the 90s Indians. To this day, they didn't win any championships, but when you talk about the heyday of what the Indians are, and you start talking about the Loftons, the Viagra Bell, Sandy, Tommy, even the guys like Paul Sereno, guys you didn't even know, right? Come on, man.
Wayne Kirby.
Wayne Kirby. Listen, man. El Presidente was out. When you got Oral Hershiser, Charlie Nagy, they love them guys. Like them dudes ain't got to never buy a beer nowhere. This dudes, I'm still looking at that lineup and being like, do you see this? You Tommy, Ramirez, Bell,
batting 6th and 7th.
Stop. At the top, we got Kenny Lofton. Listen, come on, man. Robbie Alomar and the greatest middle infield ever. Look at that. Look what you had in the middle. At center field, you had Kenny. Then you had Omar at the Gold Glove, and then you had Robbie Alomar. Come on, man. To this day, and Cleveland has shown you they will show up and pack it out if you bring the people there. I think they always struggle with living up to that legacy and the heartbroken nature that people have of being like, this is what we got now.
Yeah, it's a shame, but it's a wonderful. I've been to a lot of ballparks, and I think it's one of the best. Not just because I'm from Cleveland, but I think the facility's great. I think it's fun to go out around the park, and I just hope more people go out and.
Well, you were there in the heyday where.
Oh yeah.
Where even you had. See, think about this. When they opened that thing up, I remember my mom let me. I don't know. I either lied and said I was sick. Opening day, I used to be like, my dad's a huge baseball fan. Yep. This is the first sport I ever played, and basically, like the game would come on, and he would be like, all right, well, I had a curfew every night except for when the Indians was on, and that was in the 80s. My era was Felix Fermin and Brooke Jacoby,
Andre Thornton,
Corey Snyder.
Oh yeah, Mel Hall.
I mean, Candy Maldonado. Listen, these the dudes I was messing with, and we would watch them, and they was in the old American League East, so. We was losing 100 games a year. There wasn't no chance. I mean, you got the Yankees, you got the Red Sox,
the Orioles back then were
Blue Jays. I mean, man, that was before old Joe. That was Joe Carter. I thought Joe Carter was the truth when I was. Oh yeah. Listen, right. So when they opened that ballpark, it was the prettiest thing I had ever seen. I remember Camden Yards. And then it was Jacobs Field, and I remember him being like, "Man, this place, I got to get up. I got to go see one of them games, man." And then they had the drummer. Listen, when you have the drum, and when you have Jacobs Field, and then when you got Tom Hamilton, it's different. It's different. No disrespect. It's hard to get close to that. And you 12 years old and 13 and they ain't got no Cleveland Browns. That's all we had was Indians.
Yep. Well, I hope they can recapture it, Garrett. And, I appreciate you being on, but there is one question I got to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
So you were named one of the most interesting people in 2022. What benefits and privileges did you pick up from this? I know you're married, so
actually, like my parents and things got the privileges, man. They like after that happened, like my parents is diehard. They're retired now, so they try to stay active and stuff. So now they reap all the benefits. So like now my dad, whether it's like meeting Joe Thomas or Bernie Kosar, or I think that's the coolest part about it because we used to watch. We used to watch those games and listen to it on the radio. And my mom went to college, and when I was in high school, she went back to college. And so my mom and dad, we would drop my mom off and we would just sit in the parking lot at college, right? So we would sit there, and she was not playing around. Like, no, I will not be late. You guys will be here. So most of the time me and my brothers, we would, my dad would go get us something to eat, and we would sit in the car and listen to Sports Talk Radio. So a lot of the guys and a lot of the people that we grew up listening to and watching, and they get an opportunity to meet them now and talk to them, and so it's really cool to see them enjoy it. Other than that, and then the perception with that is, people think you make one of them lists. I'm like, listen, this is not the Forbes list. I don't have substantially that much more money, bro. Like, I can do some other things. Like, I got enough money where I could eat some steaks once in a while. But people, when that came out, people was just like, yeah, hey, let me get these hey, let me get some Cavs tickets. I said, bro, what do you mean Cavs tickets? What do you mean? Don't you know there's the playoffs? I don't know Dan Gilbert. I don't, like, what are you guys doing? So it's one of them things, man, where it's nice. Man. But some people oversell it a little bit. But shout out to Cleveland Scene Magazine for putting me in there, man. At the time, I was, I was doing this just, off my couch. Like, I didn't really, I had a regular job. I used to work as a financial advisor in Charlotte, North Carolina after high school or after college. So I wasn't doing this. I woke up one day, got laid off, and was like, you know what? If I'm going to get laid off, I'm going to do something I want to do and have it and enjoy it. And so the journey started, and by the grace of God, I've just been blessed to meet a lot of great people and to be where it is today. But it was an honor, and I do appreciate them putting me in there.
Well, Garrett, I'm going to go back to what I said from the start. There's no doubt you're an icon in the Cleveland pantheon of sports broadcasters. Certainly one of the most knowledgeable people I've talked to on Cleveland sports, and I really appreciate your input and your comments here today.
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I'll come back on anytime, man. I love talking with great people like yourself. And it just goes to show you how much Cleveland resonates around the country. There's Browns backers, and there's people all over the country that support Cleveland sports. So anytime you want me on, you got me, and I appreciate it. And shout out to everybody that's watching in your audience.
All right. Thanks, Garrett.
Appreciate you.